Today I want to talk about some that I read a few days ago in my book. I'm reading a new book now, my second book of the year. Shout out to me. It's The Pivot Year by Brianna Wiest. In that book, it basically goes from day 1 to day 365. And each day focuses on a different aspect of life that you can either look at differently or do differently. And I think it was day 114 that I'm going to talk about now. It talks about comfortability and how at a certain point, comfortability can become something that does more harm than good. It's not going to be word for word because I don't have the book in front of me. But I will try my best to keep it as close to the source material as I can. It started out by saying something along the lines of comfortability becoming a problem when what once held you together is now holding you back. A good way to put that into example form is your friends. You know, your friends once held you together and kept you up, but there comes a point in life, especially when you're my age, where you kind of outgrow your friends and in search of new friends, you tend to hide away because you're so familiar with what's comfortable to you that everything outside of your comfort zone is too much. I know a lot of people my age that, struggle with making friends because they grew up comfortably in elementary school and high school, always surrounded by the same group of people, always, talking to the same people outside of their friend group because they were always in class with them or at work with them. And, there comes a point in your life when you begin to understand that the friends you're friends with aren't the best influences. And when you realize that and you want to start making newer friends with similar interests and hobbies, it's harder to do because you're so deep into the comfort zone with your friends at the moment that, you find you struggle to make new friends. I speak from experience that I do struggle with that. It's harder for me to break out of the comfort zone when the comfort zone has been the only zone that I've lived in for the past 10 years, And that made me realize that I need to start, branching out and keeping the comfort zone farther away from me the farthest point away from me as I can. Something else that can relate to is your job. If you're young like me, bouncing between job to job to job, eventually, you find one that has a pretty decent pay and it has, pretty decent coworkers. You begin to feel comfortable and complacent in that job. I've worked as a server for 2.5 years at my current job, and I've been employed there for 5 years. Granted, when I was hired there, I was 15. And not many jobs would hire at 15, so that was the only point. That was the only job that I could work around my hometown. And there was so many points when I wanted to quit and move on to a job that, has better hours, has better benefits at all at that point, has, paid time off, everything like that. And I didn't, because I was comfortable and I didn't want to leave the comfort zone. I'm going back to that job after once my surgeon covers me, just because I kind of need money right now. not working for 3 months has put a dent into my financial aspect. And I'm going back to that job to build it back up. But don't worry. When I'm at that job, I plan on picking up a second job. And then once that second job becomes something that I am accustomed to more, then I'll drop this job. You know, it's a means to an end. But most people stay at their job that they're most comfortable with and not chase after their dreams, because it's easy to stay comfortable and it's easy to stay where you are because you are comfortable. Later on in that chapter, another quote that really resonated with me was, comfortability becomes a problem when what's comfortable in the short term makes you lose sight of what's best long term. I read that at first and I had to reread that line like 3 times because I was really struck with it. And it was something that I had known in the past, but you know, reading it in that book kind of solidified that idea for me. There's a lot of videos nowadays talking about breaking the comfort zone and doing things out of your ordinary schedule. And I agree with all of those videos 100%. Every one of those people who have touched on this subject are absolutely right. And you know, me reading that solidified all of those videos I had seen into one coherent block of information that sacrificing my future for the comfort of me today is not something I want to keep doing. And it's something that I don't want to bring into 2025. And I hope that you can relate to that as well. Bringing in bad habits like staying comfortable and prioritizing your comfort and pleasure at the moment rather than your future is no bueno. You know, that's not something that 2025 should be remembered for. 2024 for me was a year that I definitely tended to prioritize current pleasure over future happiness. And that's something that I need to change, and that's something that I am being very open and transparent about because it helps me. You know, I appreciate the honesty in my message, and you know, looking back at these videos, I tend to find it easier to hold on to my future dreams watching myself talk to me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. There's a lot of comfort in today's society. You know, you find a lot of comfort in food that you shouldn't be eating, a lot of comfort in your phone that you know you should put down, a lot of comfort in video games because it makes you feel like you're actually achieving something in life, and a lot of comfort in, you know, not delaying the gratification and instantly pleasuring yourself in the moment. You know, there's a lot of power that comes with holding on to your future, and a lot of influence that can have on how your year turns out. And you know, that book is a perfect book to read if you find yourself struggling with the same habits that you've been struggling with the past few years. You know, The Pivot Year by Brianna Wiest. I recommend you go read that. Let me know what you think about it in the comments if you end up reading it, and you know, we can talk about it. That's all for today that I had right now. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in my next one.